Hello everyone, I'm Gemma Beall and welcome to Attaining the Second Cognition. This is going to be a long presentation because I have a lot of information to share and especially a very important message. If you're not going to dedicate the time to watch the video illustration and listen to the message in full and deeply consider it, please do not waste any of your time watching it. The mind is a very powerful thing. I'm not going to draw everyone into a discussion about what the mind actually is, but for this presentation, I want to focus on what the mind can actually do. The name of this presentation is The Power of the Mind. How many of you are familiar with the term placebo effect? Just in case someone doesn't know, I will tell you what it is, but first, I will digress. In the field of science, a placebo is a sugar pill that is given in lieu of actual medication in the empirical study of the medication side effects. In years of the past, a lot of scientific study on pharmaceuticals were conducted in a manner where the participants in the study were given a sugar pill in lieu of the actual medication without their knowledge. This practice was deemed unethical by the medical and psychological standards, so scientific testing was changed to require full disclosure of this practice, what the medication was for, and what the side effects of the medications can be. Part of the reason the omission of the knowledge of the placebo was omitted from scientific studies, in my opinion, because they already knew by observation that the mind was very powerful, and knowledge of the placebo would alter the observations and test results by the power of that individual mind. Scientific studies now, unless it's changed since my exit from academia, must disclose to all test subjects that they could be either given the medication or a placebo. What the placebo effect is when a person shows common symptomatology of the side effects of the known medication when they are given a placebo instead of the medication. This phenomenon isn't just limited to actual medications versus sugar pills. It is the effect the mind creates when it believes something, even when the something isn't actually present. A couple of years ago, I was watching a demonstration on TV where they were putting the placebo effect to the test with a group of people. This demonstration was held at a Chinese restaurant with people's belief of the food additive MSG as being bad as being the focal point of the study. The people in test group 1 on one side of the restaurant were given food with MSG, and the people in test group 2 on the other side of the restaurant were given food without MSG. Before any food was delivered, the group as a whole was asked questions in a survey specifically if they had any food allergies, including MSG, but were not told they were being tested. After the food was delivered and eaten, they asked if anyone had any allergies to MSG. People from both groups raised their hands. They were then told where the dividing line in the test group was and told them that one of the test group's food did in fact have MSG in it, but they didn't disclose which group it was. 3 people in the placebo group flipped out. One person even went into a fit of hyperventilation, a mock anaphylaxis reaction, including hives appearing on the skin. Nobody in the group that actually had MSG in their food, including the ones that thought that they were allergic to it, had a reaction. Can you tell me why this happened? The people in the MSG group that had believed that they had an allergy, once they were told they were possibly given a placebo, more than likely they embraced the belief that they were in the placebo group because they didn't have a physiological reaction to the MSG. It is obvious that the 3 from the placebo group that had the reaction they experienced was because they believed they were in the group with the MSG. The reactions of everyone was quite funny, especially the woman that hyperventilated and developed hives. Not that I'm making fun of her, and when I say funny, I mean ironic, not funny ha-ha. But the reaction was created by a belief, and once it was revealed that she was in the placebo group, the physiological reaction ceased. This test was conducted because a lot of people believe that they have allergies to certain things, and the belief is what garners the allergic reaction, not the source that they think it is. From the effects of this study, it appears to be true in all of the cases of those that thought they were allergic to MSG. Now, tell me beliefs are not powerful and not always in a positive way. I'm sure I've said many times in one of my books or videos that beliefs are limiting, and yes, they can be very powerful in a positive manner, but knowing is more powerful than belief because it doesn't limit you in the face of greater knowledge and understanding where beliefs can and will, especially if you are clinging to them with a death grip. Before I began my spiritual path, it was easy when I believed that God was in control of my life, and I had an easier time manifesting certain things because I believed that God was doing it for me. Of course, I didn't like the rest of the shit I blamed God for bringing to me, but learning to create on my own and having the confidence in my own spirit as that creator took a hell of a lot of time. So I know how hard it is to get rid of beliefs while raising your own consciousness and awareness to become your own creator. But your mind and your mindset will either help you or hinder you where creating for yourself or in collaboration with others is concerned. Mindsets and beliefs are very similar, and some might consider them the same thing. Mindsets, as I've pointed out before, are an established set of attitudes held by someone. A belief is defined as an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. According to the definitions, they are two completely different things. Beliefs are products of a mindset, but mindsets have nothing to do with beliefs. When you are raised religious, and a lot of us were, these religious beliefs become a part of who we are, but our mindsets are a whole different kind of indoctrination. Mindsets are a closed-loop mentality along with perceptions. Our mindsets mold our perceptions, and our perceptions reinforce our mindsets, which is why I call them a closed-loop mentality. When you look at you and how you are and the things that go on in your mind, are you looking for the subtle things that typically go unnoticed? In my What is Creating video, I explain one of my long-held ego habits that I still had as a mindset and how that mindset kept me from acknowledging my own creativity. How many silent mindsets do you have in your mind that hinder you in ways that you don't notice? It's easy to notice the glaring things about ourselves within our minds and external in our behaviors, but how much do we notice that goes unseen? Or better yet, how much is unseen because we don't notice? This observation is a fact, and not just because I think it is, but because enough empirical and non-empirical research has been conducted into this phenomenon, proving this time and time again. Everything that we've shared to date has been a slowly evolving picture of the mind and the subtle and not so subtle ways we are manipulated and how we hold ourselves back by beliefs and mindsets. We come into our path, most of us discard our religious beliefs, and you could be completely free of these anchor beliefs, but until we could see and recognize and break these mindsets, we're still anchored to the first cognition. Mindsets aren't something that is either or. We can have many mindsets. Some can be positive, but most in the first cognition world are negative and do impede our psychic growth. Two of the most insidious mindsets I've seen within and see externally in others are the duality mindset and the hierarchy mindset. The duality mindset is the constant comparison of things as a polarity of one another or in conflict with the other. In first cognition, everything is dualistic. In my book, The Energy Experience, I talked about this mindset but didn't call it a mindset. Not everything that is pitted in opposition to something else is in fact a polarity of the other. Sometimes they are two separate and completely different things with no relationship to one another. A prime example of this, of course, is dark and light. I've seen this many times, I shit you not. People that really believe as a belief and hold the mindset that these two are the duality, and that because you stick a candle in a dark room that the light banishes the dark. But doing this doesn't banish the dark, because if it was banished, it would cease to exist. Blow out the candle and everything goes dark again. Therefore, it exists with or without the light. Blowing out the candle does banish that particular light source, now doesn't it? The hierarchy mindset is a big one. We know that everything in first cognition is based on hierarchy and has been that way for thousands of years. Hell, the entire first cognition reality was built on fucking hierarchy. Hierarchy is defined as a system or organization in which people or groups are ranked one above the other according to status or authority. Although that is the way the first cognition is, the mindset is extremely limited when working from and within second cognition. Hierarchy doesn't exist in second cognition at all. So if one is still operating under the hierarchy mindset, they're not operating as a second cog person, no matter how strongly they believe that they are. When you operate from a duality mindset or a hierarchy mindset, that will be all you see. You have to remember that your perceptions are based off of your filters. Your mindsets are one of those filters that you wear, so when you look at something with the mindset, that is literally all you will see. We have seen too many people walk away from us thinking that Endel and I are trying to start some kind of cult movement or some kind of hierarchy with us at the top, and that is the farthest thing from the truth. But these people walk away with these opinions because they hold the hierarchy mindset, so of course that is all they will allow themselves to see. The cesspool of the first cognition is utterly disgusting. We've been telling others about it for years. Why have we been telling others about it? Because when you're stuck in it, you become comfortable in your surroundings and just don't want to leave, and you can't see it from the perspective of not being in it. This comfort becomes a mindset as well. As difficult as it is to pull yourself out of that cesspool, getting out of the water is the easy part. To use an analogy, the cesspool is huge, and it's deep, and it's mucky from the deep bottom depths to the scummy surface. There is nowhere in the cesspool that you could find clean and clear water. Around this cesspool is a small area that will get you out of the water, but in order to get completely out of the cesspool, you must climb to the top of the levee. If you hold the mindset that getting out of the water is what gets you out of first cognition, you won't even see the wall you must climb to get to the top of the levee that will get you out of first cognition. Everything we're sharing is our journey of being in the cesspool and working hard every day to not only get ourselves out of the water, but get ourselves to the top of the levee so we can leave the cesspool entirely. For a long time, we got above the water, and then we got out of the water, but we stood at the water's edge trying to figure out how to climb to the top of the levee. Many times during the climb, we have fallen and started climbing again in order to get to the top of the levee. Once we got to the top of the levee, we can see what is on the other side. Freedom, and a blank canvas in order for us to create where we go from there. The only thing that kept us moving forward and climbing again after we fell was the grit mindset. Grit is defined as courage and resolve, strength of character. And this mindset is the basis of what Soikas possesses traits, defining traits to be exact. We had the choice to move forward in freedom and not worry about the others still stuck in the cesspool, but that wouldn't be right to not help those still there get out if they wanted help. So we've waited at the top of the levee, throwing a rope for others to grab a hold of to help pull themselves out so they can join us as equals to make our trek to freedom and start creating as co-creators. I don't know what is worse, the ones that chose to stay in the murky waters or the ones that have pulled themselves out but refuse to climb to the top and join us. Over the last month and a half of producing our videos, we've been showing others what is patently obvious standing at the top of the levee. Still being stuck in the waters of the cesspool do not allow one to see what we can see atop the levee. There are many others that have come along and worked with us that have pulled themselves out of the cesspool waters, but have not succeeded in climbing to the top of the levee to free themselves. What is holding them back? All of the topics that we've discussed in our videos, mainly mindsets, perceptions, assumptions, and the whole litany of first cognition habits that they hold on to rather than acknowledging them and tossing them. Our Soikas are not this human experience. This Earth 3D experience is in fact irrelevant to our Soikas on a cosmic scale. Everything we know here is from the mindset of a 3D Earth indoctrinated human, But until we can step outside of the first cog 3D Earth human cesspool, one will never see the greater aspects of their Soika, nor the greater aspects of the universe at large, and their place in it here as a human form. Endel and I came in as Soika crew to assemble the Earth Soika crew team to work in cooperation with the Soika crew out there in the universe to expand this new paradigm. Second cog is only the doorway to the reality of freedom. There are greater levels of awareness available in this reality that doesn't exist in first cognition, but until you remove all of the first cognition trash, one will never see it. Endel and I have worked one-on-one with many others over the course of the years trying to assemble the Soika crew team, but all our efforts have failed. Our efforts haven't failed because of us. The efforts for a team has failed due to the mentality of others being stuck in first cognition with many first cognition mindsets that hold them back, and is highly apparent in the words and actions of others that cause the team's creation to not be successful beyond Endel and I. Apparently, they like the cesspool better than they like freedom. Endel and I are the team. We have been and will continue to work with crew out there in the stars to do what we need to do here to expand the new paradigm. It might take us longer to make these efforts come to fruition, being only he and I, and they will come to fruition, if only for us and crew out there. I think the most difficult part is how much time and energy we've expended trying to help others pull themselves out of the cesspool. To help others out, we have been holding the ropes, and we have pulled to aid others in their ascent out of the cesspool, but instead of climbing as we have pulled, they tend to hang, and we end up doing all the work. We've met many that have let go of the rope, and although they may have pulled themselves out of the waters, they are still in the cesspool, and that is where their mindsets will always keep them until they acknowledge the mindset and choose to let it go and climb their way out. Earth human mentalities are especially insidious because the mentality that everyone else has a problem blinds them from seeing their own limiting mentalities. The whole first cognition system is about manipulation and control. It has created the hierarchy mentality, and you clearly see that hierarchy in everything around you. That mindset molds your perceptions, so all you can see around you is hierarchy, even when there isn't one. We've stated repeatedly that we are not trying to get followers, we are not trying to set ourselves up as gurus, and that is a fact, but these mentalities of others, that is all they see regardless of our words and our actions. They can't understand the concept of a group of sovereign individuals standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder, working for the same goal, not as a collective, but as a team. Every team must have a leader, but it doesn't have to be just one team leader. It should be alternating from person to person to person, but right now, Endel and I have been the only ones stepping up to lead the team we've been trying to assemble. The ego only understands this type of hierarchy mentality and cannot see anything but that. But to be completely and brutally honest, Endel is the one that has been leading the Soika crew efforts here on Earth trying to assemble the team, and for the longest time he's the only one doing it. He wasn't doing it because it was his role. He chose the role because someone had to do it in order to make it happen. He chose the responsibility because nobody else has. I was supporting his effort to build that team, but not as a co-creator and not because it was his intentions to keep me from stepping forward and leading the team. I am no different than everyone else in that respect, making him lead the team efforts. I won't say allowing here because allowing means we let it happen, but making him means that nobody else has stepped up to give him relief from the responsibility, myself included. I stepped up my game and took the lead when I migrated the videos to my channel when Doug removed his channel. I made the choice to begin making new videos on this channel with the new direction we've taken. Endel didn't ask me to, nor did he let me. This effort wasn't a collaborative effort with Endel in the lead role directing our work. This was me stepping up to the plate and becoming a leader to Soika crew and giving him a fucking break from the responsibility he's born out of necessity. Now it's time for others to do the same. This is what Soika crew is about, a group of individual Soikas, sovereign in their own consciousness, standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder to move forward in creation. We each have different skills to offer the team. Some have skills stronger than others, and it is only wise to step up with your strongest skill in the lead. Even if you don't know what your strength or skill is, you won't know unless you just fucking do it. This will only work if the individual Soikas are sovereign in their own consciousness, and as long as one holds on to the limiting first cognition mindsets, they aren't sovereign and can't lead anyone forward and away from first cognition. The reason he and I are no longer collaborating on scripts, he does his own and I do mine, is to show others that leadership isn't limited to one person. We are both leading by our words and our actions, but doing so in a collaborative and creative manner. That's not hierarchy, that's fucking co-creation by individuals. I took the lead and created the Exiting the First Cognition channel for others to share their work. I led the creation aspect of the channel, but it is for the others to take the lead to contribute content, and that is them leading by example. Until 7 weeks ago, I didn't have a fucking clue how to do recordings or how to make videos. I did so by taking the bulls by the fucking horns and doing it because it needed to be done if we had any intent of continue paving the way for Soika Crew. I now have the knowledge, and I set up the platform to support their role in leading for Soika Crew. Soika Crew out there has dropped nuggets of information to Soika Crew here on Earth. We've seen these messages in the New Agey material, and most recently a Soika message in a novel was brought to our attention. Due to copyright issues, I cannot quote the text here, but it is from the Weather Composer series by James Mahu. I don't know which book in the series it was in, because I wasn't told because the person didn't recommend the series at all, but there is one passage that is relevant to Soika Crew and the work Endel and I have been doing. This chapter is entitled Consciousness, and it said the best description of consciousness is I am, we are. Most people will not see what Endel and I saw from these 4 words. What we saw, felt, and knew, individually aside from each other, was exactly the same. I am Soika. We are Soika Crew. Endel and I have understood what we've been trying to accomplish the whole time, and we have clearly conveyed it in our words. It has been completely misunderstood from every direction by others because of their own limiting hierarchical mindsets. I look at crew out there, and there are many Soika Crew out there that we are in communication with, and I see them all as leaders but working cooperatively together. This is what we want to see here on Earth with Soika Crew, and this is what we've been prodding people to step up to do. The I Ams create hierarchies, but not necessarily with the individual I standing at the top. They also create them with the individual I at the bottom. If you want to see what the I Ams create, look at the news. Look into politics, look into religions, look into the masses giving their energies away to the external world at large. That's what I am creates. If you want to see what the I am we are creates, if you've been paying attention to the visual part of this video, you've seen it. I didn't show any other external visual representations of it because we've not seen it outside of our work or the others that have worked with us. Every one of us has helped perpetuate the I am system, and everyone has helped maintain that I am system through their energies fed into that system and our hierarchical mentalities. When you have and hold on to these mentalities, you are still feeding that system even once you extract your energies from that field. When you look up, especially if your mind is set on hierarchies, you won't be able to tell the difference in the one standing on the levee with a rope and grabbing people's hands and pulling them out from the one standing on the levee throwing chum in the water to keep the people in the water. You also won't be able to tell the difference between the ones on the top of the levee with a rope as a solution to get people out of the cesspool from the one standing on the edge of the water telling everyone they're in shit rather than telling them how to get the fuck out of it. The most sinister aspect of the hierarchy mentality is that if you're still operating in that mindset, you will always view yourself somewhere within that hierarchy, no matter how often you proclaim to be sovereign. Soika is about becoming your own leader unto yourself and removing yourself from hierarchies completely. But becoming that leader isn't about words. It's about words followed by action. Period. End of story. We've been saying this all along, from the first book we released to this video here. But regardless of us being our own leaders, we must work in cooperation with others to build a new reality. None of us are alone in this universe. We always have and always will have to share energetic space with others. If one is sitting there with the I am hierarchy mentality, you will never see the rest of the picture nor be willing to work as a cooperative co-creator with anyone but yourself. This I am mentality is the residual mindset of the fucking ego. Let me ask you this. If I was being hierarchical and trying to get people to follow me, why would I be working so hard to inspire others to share their fucking journeys? Why would I go through the trouble to set up another channel to make it easy for them to do so, since I've now taught myself how to make videos and moderate a channel? We've been trying to get you all to ask yourself questions for you to get your own answers, and we've been encouraging interaction in the comments for you all to communicate with us and with each other to help each other grow, not only yourselves. Is that really something that a dictator at the top of a hierarchy would do? Or is that something someone standing atop a levee wanting co-creators to get their asses up there to do? All along, Endel has been leading by example, not by dictate. In other words, he's been putting his money where his mouth is, and we can all learn from that example if we have the wisdom to see it. You know, when Endel asked me to write my first book, this is what he was trying to show me. He didn't make me write the book, he asked, but that was his gentle way of trying to nudge me to step up and take the lead. I didn't get it then, I understood it today. 2 years later, after everything I've shared and everything I've known, I didn't understand that until today when I wrote this script. But it's the same thing that I've been trying to do with others with exiting the First Cognition channel. I've nudged them nicely in order to show them how to step up and take the lead by example. Endel and I have worked hard to remove our mentalities and are willing to do the same when one comes into our awareness. But what we see from others is a continual misperception because of their hierarchical mindsets, and we're just done dealing with Soika wannabes. We're tired of playing tug of war to get people out of the cesspool. We initially were holding the ropes to help others out, but it's become nothing but a tug of war. We've metaphorically bloodied our hands climbing our own way out of the shit, and we've metaphorically rope burned our hands trying to help others out. We're letting go of the rope. Our books and our videos on this channel are the ropes tied to the top of the levee, waiting to help you pull yourself out, but we will no longer be holding the rope for you or pulling for you. You are your own leader. You lead by pulling yourself out. Our work clearly shows you the problems and clearly gives the solutions we've used to get ourselves out, and they are solutions you can use as well to not only get yourself out of the waters of First Cognition, but also out of the cesspool entirely onto the levee so you can move forward and create something for yourself. If you can't see the rope, alter your mindsets and perceptions, because they are there and they are only ropes. If you can't see them, then create your own. We're no longer waiting on anyone else. Soika crew out there has been waiting us for a really long time. Patiently, I might add, but now Endel and I are ready to move forward into 3rd, 5th, 15th cog and beyond, and stop being an earth fucking human and becoming the cosmic human that we were meant to be, and we can't do this pulling the rope for everyone else. I will leave the channel intact for those that want to continue on their journey studying our work as you raise your awareness. Although we are not obligated to let you guys know what's going on or what we're doing, we are appreciative enough of the support you have given us, and we wouldn't be impeccable ghosting you by shutting the channel down without a word as to why. Who knows, maybe later we will resume sharing our journeys on this channel, but please don't stop moving on your journey waiting for us to begin sharing again. If you feel that we have lost faith in you, please realize you never needed our faith to begin with. You only need to have faith in yourself. Your journey is your focus, and you move forward by your intent and your will. Never settle for being just a first cog human. I want to leave you with some things to seriously consider. If you still think you're Soika crew and you're sitting there with the lone wolf mentality, you aren't Soika crew. If you are sitting there with the hierarchical mentality, you aren't Soika crew. If you are sitting there with a mindset you cannot lead others, you aren't Soika Crew. If you are sitting there perfectly content allowing others to inspire you or give you direction or lead always, you aren't Soika Crew. We've been saying that your focus is on you is the most important thing for your development, but your development is contingent on your role as Soika Crew. I have worked hard on my path to make me ready to contribute to a creation with the Soika team. In other words, I make myself better in order to aid others in a creative endeavor for a creation that benefits everyone, not just me. I've said in other videos that we must take others into consideration in our actions, especially as creators, because the universe is not about the individual. The individual needs to be established in order to remove the hive and the hierarchical mentality from the equation. But there is a fine line between what we are talking about and the I am mentality that keeps the mindsets from becoming self-centered. In the video Programs, Perceptions, and Distractions, I stated not enough information known as being a key factor in processing information to form perceptions. What I mean, and most people probably don't understand, is that there is a lot of information that Endel and I have to impart about Soika Crew and Soika work because we have spent the last decade working with Soika Crew out there in order to remember it. This information is necessary for others to know to make what we share in regards to Soika Crew work understandable, since a lot of it there is no relation to a 3D perspective. We created our Second Cognition website to share this information, but this information is not for the dabblers or the wannabes. It's specifically for those that have been knowing they are Soika Crew, and they are not only willing but able to discard all of their first cognition shit and mindsets to set their roles to work in cooperation with the rest of us, here on Earth and out there in the stars. Our other website is by invitation only, so if you genuinely think you are Soika Crew and you genuinely think you are ready and able to discard all of your mindsets and begin working in co-creation with us and other Soika Crew everywhere, not just here on Earth, then ask yourself these questions. If, after asking those questions and you still think you are Soika Crew, contact us at www.demystifyingthemystical.com. Am I supposed to be a part of Earth's Soika Crew here? Is Soika Crew reliant on physical association? Have I done anything to date that would be considered work with Soika Crew? If not, what does Soika Crew work mean? Am I as ready as I think I am to embark on Soika Crew responsibilities, or does my residual ego habits and mindsets just make me think that I am? Am I truly capable of facing the larger crew picture at this time or not? If not, what can I do to reach that capability? Am I still nurturing too many ego expectations to handle the gravity and responsibility of real crew Soika work? Is Soika Crew work about being nice? Is Soika Crew work about anything that resembles New Agey unity, oneness, compassion, love, or smarmy humanitarianism? Are any of these ideas providing the solutions to the hard problems Soika Crew faces? Is there any room on Soika Crew for dabblers, dalliers, wannabes, or dreamers impatiently waiting for the consciousness fairy to zing by and hit them with its enlightenment magic wand? Is Soika Crew work tough and dirty? Thank you everyone for the support you've given us. Thank you to those that have seriously considered the material and found benefit for yourself and your efforts towards self-expansion. Endel and I do greatly appreciate it. Stay the course and don't give up on yourself. I'm Gemma Beall, over and out.